What's up, jobbers, and welcome to the latest edition of the Jobber Knocker podcast. As always, is Nestlemania alongside for the ride is a man that always yells, touchdown, Bloodline, JC.
I yell touchdown, Bloodline, but I'll tell you what I will yell, touchdown, lawn drink.
So our boy Joe Stopper, very upset that we started at 8:30 tonight instead of 8 o'clock. No respect for your loyal listeners' bedtimes.
Hey,
what are you, 150?
No, it's my fault.
Usually I'm the bad guy, so. Oh, look at this. 2 minutes in the program, I was saying my bandana is already holding up my fading hairline. I will tell you this much. I have a glorious headline. I have a glorious hairdo.
Headline? You have a glorious headline?
Hairline, whatever. Dude, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I have babies to worry about, man, and a full-time job and this podcast. I do so much. I'm so wonderful. Anyway, we've got a lot to talk about here. We've got a lot of wrestling business to talk about. Where do we always start, JC?
The Shine.
That's right. And always in the shine. You know what? Instead of saying always in the shine, Mandy Rose, can we just talk about something specific that I was just floored about? And I was like, this has to be just fun in general. Is like always in the shine right now. McIntyre.
I mean, I'm not going to go putting him on Mandy Rose's pedestal.
Okay.
But I thought, you want to talk about Lola Vice or Carmen Petrovic? We can put them always in the shine. But I mean, lately we talked about it. Drew McIntyre has been the best part of Raw. What is going on with him is so interesting, and more of the same this week.
I really had a lot of fun watching the Sammy match. I loved the lead up to everything, especially what was going to go on afterwards as well with the Drew McIntyre. Will he join Judgment Day? Will Seth join Judgment Day? Then they made the no deal afterwards. Like I was like, okay, as much as I don't like Seth Rollins, and I don't, McIntyre is a very polarizing figure right now, and it's very enjoyable because, again, when it comes to the best parts of wrestling is you can't call it and you never know what to expect. And I feel like Drew is that character right now. You don't know what to expect from him, and that's a breath of fresh air instead of his slongy-ass sword coming out and doing the same fucking song and dance for the last however many years. Now it's like, okay, like we have a little bit of a different character here, and it's fun to watch.
I mean, I'm never going to be mad about the big schlonny sword because that was the only reason that I wanted him on my TV at all. But yeah, no, you're right. It's just everyone loves a wild card. Everyone loves having that friend as a wild card because you don't know what to expect. You don't know what's coming next. We've seen him kind of like pissing off the good guys, pissing off the bad guys, flirting with the Judgment Day, not flirting with the Judgment Day, getting a little help from Rhea this week. And then it's just, I don't know. Bottom line for me is Nestlemania is I want a new champion coming out of Crown Jewel. Whether it's Drew McIntyre or whether it's Damian Priest, or maybe they both hold the gold that night. I don't know. I just need a new champion because, like you alluded to, Seth Rollins, get out of here, buddy. Marcus Camby meme, get out of here.
Not my champion. Not my champion at all. It says we all know Jay Sizzle's weapon of choice. What's Unfortunately for me, as plain as I am and as boring as I am, folks, it is a Jobber Knocker water bottle for water. Sorry.
The water bottle part. The water and bottle might have alluded to that. It was water in there, but we appreciate the double.
Well, it could have been literally it's a clear liquid. I could hide it. Have some absolute.
True.
So
that's true. Well, Nestlemania, Drew McIntyre's awesome. You know what else is awesome? Someone that could be a potential comeback this week. Logan Paul, baby. He's back, and not only was on SmackDown, he was on Raw. I enjoyed the stuff on SmackDown with Ray. I actually thought his solo promo on SmackDown was probably his best promo to date. He was in control. It was the best pacing he's had. He let the crowd breathe when he had to, do what he had to do. And when Ray came out, they set the match, blah, blah, blah. But Nestlemania, the focus for me is on Raw because he rubbed up against the other Mysterio, the better Mysterio, and Dirty Dom. And watch them, I was like, oh my God, this is the tag team I never knew I needed. Right. Logan Paul just talking about how great Dom was. Both of them unable to talk because the crowd was just nuclear for them. It's like you put two of the most booable people in the company in the ring together, and it was magic. I really thought it was a lot of fun. And you know what else I loved? At the end, Logan called in Sam to the ring, call into the history like we always like. And of course, Ricochet's had a little bit of an edge lately. He's pissed off. He runs out. So I like that they like kind of like did that. And I like that it's like one of those things like, hey, I'm Logan Paul. The last time I saw this girl, I made her say my name. Now I'm on her show. I have to bring it up because I'm an asshole. So I thought everything worked from SmackDown to Raw. It was nice to have Logan back, and I'm excited for him to win the U.S. title at Crown Jewel.
If he doesn't win the United States Championship at Crown Jewel, when he will, but if he doesn't, if there's like some percentage of something happening here, I would be very upset because I feel like Rey Mysterio hasn't done anything with it. Austin Theory didn't do anything.
So you've come to my side.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm at a point where I just want entertainment on my TV. I want actual good things. Like you can have great wrestling, but you got to give me a little bit of gravitas. You got to give me a little bit of the gaga. You got to give me something, man. You got to give me that je ne sais quoi. You know what I mean? And he has loads of it, loads of je ne sais quoi. But he's dropping loads everywhere. However, I will say this much. Logan Paul did say something, and it was very, again, on SmackDown, very little bit clunky here. He was like, I don't want to face Rey Mysterio, but I have to face Rey Mysterio. And I was like, that's hair logic there, but it worked.
Well, he already beat him. Like
no, I know, but he didn't
do it for America.
He didn't do it in America. But here's the thing, like, if Logan Paul doesn't, in fact, beat him in a week or two, my thought would be, can we get him in like legit, like United States gear, like Apollo Creed, like the whole kit and caboodle, like just making him like America's son, or like just something where, like, you know what I mean? Like making him even more hateable, which I don't even know is possible at this point, but he's doing a fantastic job. And again, it was bizarre to me because all I could think about was on Raw that they did the same thing. And I'm like, are we going to get a rematch with Ricochet? And then I saw the graphic and I'm like, Dom and Ricochet. And I was like, oh, okay, well, it's new. It's something for Ricochet to do, I guess. And for, it's okay for Dom to eat every fucking pin ever created, it seems. So it's fine. But it was weird because I was like, oh, maybe we're going to get a Logan Paul thing, right before Rey Mysterio to get him a big dub. But I don't know.
I don't mind that kind of being like Logan Paul's biggest rival is Ricochet, where it's like whenever they're like in the same area, they kind of, it's like Peter Griffin and the Chicken, they kind of got to do their thing. But I'm assuming it's because Logan isn't going to be on either week, even though he did say he's a free agent, so he can take that U.S. title to Raw. Who knows? Maybe Logan will show up on NXT just to, pop a rating, but I wouldn't count on that. But no, I think it's interesting. Yeah, like you said, Dom and Ricochet is a fresh match. It's a way to just do something different and to continue to keep Dom interesting as well. So I didn't mind that at all.
So anything else that you enjoyed?
We can talk about some matches of the week, Nestlemania. And there wasn't much meat in this match, so it was not the meat match of the week. But the tag team match on SmackDown, though, we really love all four of you guys, but we don't really know what to do. But Waller and Theory go wrestle Dragon Lee and Cameron Grimes. And Nestlemania, this is a fun little tag team match.
Listen, all I got to tell you right now is I just can't for the life of me understand why Theory and Waller work. But just,
I mean, they're like the same guy.
No, I know, but it was just so funny because like on a separate trajectory, Waller is making fun of Taylor Swift and wearing the shirt and then fucking like doing the hater, haters gonna hate, video. I thought it was hysterical. And then it's just like, it's almost like Theory is so insufferable that Waller makes him better. It's just like it works in so many different ways. So I really enjoy it. And the fact that they keep winning, just fucking, it lines up everything. Like it's like, okay, here we go, folks. Here we go. And I'm excited for it. And I really like what they're doing with Dragon Lee. They're kind of mixing him in with a lot of different things. I feel bad for Cameron Grimes because I feel like he's just kind of there now. He's just there. They're not going to
kind of been there. He was kind of been there the last
like
year at NXT since the $1 million title, and he's just got called up and is kind of there on SmackDown.
Well, it's weird because he did such a great job. He had such a great character arc in NXT, right? And, in the pandemic, to me, he was like one of the best parts of the pandemic in NXT, especially with LA Knight and that whole thing. million man and everything. And then like seeing it, when his dad died and he won the fucking, North American Championship, all that stuff is fantastic. The whole story. And then he got to Raw and was like a lead balloon out of nowhere. No character development whatsoever. Huge Wang's in the house, by the way. Everybody can pop for Huge Wang. So there it is.
Everyone always pops for a Huge Wang.
Everybody loves Huge Wang alert. So there you go. And of course, my boy, Adam Bertsky, we've decided we're going to call ourselves Adam World Order. So there you go. All the Adams will unite. I'm going to have a t-shirt.
Remember we used to have a soundboard? I believe there was one that went, nerd.
You're going to think this is a super nerd thing to do, but there was a part of Hollywood Hulk Hogan's NWO theme song where he had just like these random drops in his song. And it's just like the biggest icon in wrestling. Like, I just want random shit like that throughout our fucking program. It'd be fucking great. Like the biggest nerd in wrestling. But yeah, no, I agree with you on all this stuff. But the one thing I can't believe we're this far into the program without even saying this to me. First off, multiple segments and a match and part of a fucking group now, Tozawa.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
this is where I was going next. I was going with a tag team thing.
Oh, my God.
Picking up what I'm putting down.
Unbelievable. Like the idea that like Tozawa went from like, obviously comedy act, from seeing somebody and turning around and being scared to fucking doing the jive, which is going to be a thing now, right? Like the little Tozawa wiggle. And then all of a sudden, you know what I mean? He just does it and then Tozawa, you nasty. And then like all that shit. But then he chops fucking Reed. And I just went, I don't care if he gets squashed or not. This is outstanding. The guy had like 6 segments. It was unbelievable.
And you know what, Nestlemania? So this week was a little weird because obviously we didn't have a true meat match on pretty much any of the shows, but you just kind of hinted at there. Tozawa was the meat bridge this week. The meat bridge, because he joined the Alpha Academy, which means he's with our meat man Otis, who was in a tag team match with the New Day. So there was some slapping meat in honor of Big E, member of the New Day, who can't wrestle, but his friends got to wrestle the meat. And Otis wormed his way to a fun match. They didn't win, but that was a banner. But Tozawa bridged us into his own match where he took on meat match of the week specialist Bronson Reed, as you mentioned, and got absolutely annihilated, but there was meat slapping. So this week, it's not really a true meat match of the week. I'm going to give the meat man of the week, Tozawa, for bridging the meat together and making one meat happy family. So that is your unofficial but official JC meat match of the week, is the bridge, Tozawa. It doesn't make any sense, but it makes perfect sense if you think about
it. Can I just say, is Bronson Reed the perennial meat match of the week? Like, it just matters to see.
I mean, it's if he's definitely, him and Otis are definitely some of the meatier men that you have. But also, Miro was in action, but he did not face a meat man on Collision. I'll get to that match in a little bit, but yeah, no, there wasn't a lot of meat like stopping. Will Hobbs didn't have a meat match. There's a lot of great meat guys and meat gals out there, but they didn't really meet this week. I mean, hey, Crown Jewel is looking like a pretty big meat match for the women in a fatal 5-way. There's a lot of meat in that match with all those women. That's a lot of women with a lot of thick different things going on there. So that's a potential one there. But I don't know if we're going to talk about that segment now because, ew. But also in the shine, I'll go there now because, sometimes I like to collide in this program. We talk about meat colliding. Tozawa collided the meats. Well, on Collision, I don't know if you saw it in Nestlemania, but sometimes in wrestling, when you take the power and physicality of someone like a Miro, and you take the speed and high flying, and you clash them together, Nestlemania, you get a fucking banger. And Miro in Action Andretti was a lot of fun. And having CJ Perry out there to kind of add to it a little bit, I'm a Miro guy. I mean, but it's just like these again, it's the same reason like with Corbin. Miro's kind of the same way. When he takes on these really athletic, high flying guys, it makes a really fun match.
It's almost like a similar Baron Corbin equation, right? Like it's it's an easy
big time JC guys for a reason.
Well, no, I just think it's fun to plug and play with these athletic guys because I mean, he was a super athlete in WWE. He is a very athletic. He's a freak of nature in terms of the way he's built, the way he moves. He's like a tank. But like you said, it's almost like that ground and pound versus swatting a fly, and it's fun. It's absolutely fun. I just thought it was funny because when I saw Action Andretti, I'm like, oh, he's still on the roster. Because it was like he beat Jericho. He's the next big thing. And then you never heard from him again. And now he's back. And it's like, okay, whatever. Like clearly they oversold that.
But he usually loses on Rampage or Collision.
Well, yeah. It's just like.
This was like, they kind of set up the story last week with CJ Perry where him volunteering to be her first candidate. And Miro took exception to that and decided to machka his ass into oblivion.
Machka. Sorry, I just love saying that. Anything else that you want to talk about that's positive?
I don't know. I'm kind of tweeting on it, but we can kind of
Wow.
bring it up here because it's a big topic and we can go wherever you want with it. But I kind of did like Cody interrupting the Judgment Day this week because it's one of those things when you lose the titles, like these things should be acknowledged. But they kind of did what they always do with Cody. It's like, oh yeah, everyone loves Cody. Well, let's just fucking break something on him, like storyline wise, rinse and repeat. They did it with Brock. Now we'll do it with the Judgment Day. But the reason why I put it in the shine is because I did like the end result because it told me that Damian Priest is close. They're putting him in this match with Cody to show what he can do. And whether he wins or loses, he's going to come out a lot better for it. And he's going to be ready to be a champion. So I would put it this way. If he loses to Cody at Crown Jewel, like I expect, count on him walking out that night as the World Heavyweight Champion. If he beats Cody, plan on him not cashing in and not walking out World Heavyweight Champion. But either way, I like it because I think this is the next step for Priest. Because if he's truly going to be the next champion, he's got to prove that he can have bangers with guys like Cody. Because we've seen Priest have some really good matches. We've seen Priest have some clunkers. But this is one. Been doing a lot of tag team wrestling. Have a big solo match against the biggest star in the company. Let's see how you do.
I don't see him winning the championship while he's still a tag team champion. That's what I would say.
They could drop those fucking tomorrow the way they've been fucking hot potato in that shit.
Yeah, I agree. I will say, get him off my TV, get him off my TV, get him off my TV. When I saw them go for Cody's leg again, I was like, Jesus Christ. Strap the fucking red cape on him for crying out loud.
Codelander, baby.
Yeah, seriously. I was just like, I get it. Like, he's the ultimate baby face, but like, it wasn't even 6 months apart. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's like a game of operation with the poor motherfucker, right? Like, it's just like next week, it's like a game of Twister. It's like put fucking red hand on red, like it's right hand on red or something. It's unbelievable. Like, I was just like, did they already run out of shit for him to do?
I think they just love the Cody injury face. The coming out and the I think they just love it. Like Triple H probably in the back, like, yes.
It's you know what it is? Here's my thought, right? Like he fucking fought through a real torn pec. So they're probably just like, these people love him for fighting through adversity. And it's like, I would just wish he had other adversity besides injury. You know what I mean? Like instead of
his whole fucking thing is adversity. They're just
I know. But like screw him out of a couple of matches a little bit more instead of being like, oh my God, his fucking ankle. And I'm like thinking to myself, is this an easy way for Priest to win? Probably.
Well, that's the other thing is like they're booking him like Prime Cena, which means he doesn't lose. He wins all his matches except for the big one, as we saw. Like he literally beats everyone except for Roman Reigns. It's just that's how they've been booking him because he's a superhero, and it just for him to lose, like the match he had to lose with Brock Lesnar, they had to injure him. So this is a teller that either way, there's a good chance Priest might actually win this to get an actual dub before maybe becoming champion. But either way, I still think Cody's gonna win that crown jewel. So you know what that means.
Yep. Something I wanted to bring up here. It's not necessarily, it's a positive, then turns into a negative. So I guess I should have started with this, but anyway.
No, this works.
Okay. So John Cena comes out and I'm like, okay, he's 1 in a million. He has one of the great promos he always does. And I'm thinking about retirement. I've had 2,002 days. I haven't had a fucking win in a televised match. And I'm getting all giddy going, hey, he's going to finally have a fucking match. And he doesn't. You know, it's like, maybe he'll have a match on Friday. Maybe he'll have a match next week. Maybe he'll have a match at Crown Jewel. Some people say this Friday is the last one he has on the schedule. It's just like, for me, I've appreciated it's like a John Cena appreciation tour, but it just feels weird to have him there every week and not doing anything except talking. And I'm kind of at a point where I feel like it's put up or shut up time. Let's get him his fucking win. Let him fucking go on and do his thing. And I love John Cena. I think he's fantastic. He is the greatest of all time. But I'm looking at SmackDown and I'm thinking, he's taken up too much time. He's taken up not doing anything. He's not moving anything forward. We get it. Like this entire promo could have been the whole reason he came back and kept losing. Or, you know what I mean? Like I wanted that to be the reason he came back. But now that it's there at the end, it's like, okay, he's just going to have a fucking win, go off to the sunset and come back whenever he can. And I just feel like it sucks because I'm enjoying him, but I could enjoy him a lot more if this wasn't as clunky for me.
Yeah, it's might be one of those things. Maybe he's just not ready for a singles match right now. Like I know he's been working a lot, but it's just like because I assumed after this segment they were gonna make Cena versus Jimmy at Crown Jewel, but then Jay made the save, and I'm like, we're gonna do Cena and Jay versus Jimmy and Solo at Crown Jewel, aren't we? Especially now that Cody's booked in a completely different match. That's the first place my mind has gone. So who knows? Maybe Cena truly isn't working it, but then what are they doing with Jay and Jimmy and all that? You know what I mean? Are they just equivalent to like the Cody match and the Roman match, and they're just like kind of there, but which is possible, but I don't know. It's weird to me that we're this close to Crown Jewel and Cena would be done without going over there. So my expectation is kind of a tag team match, but it's just more of the same, like you said, and it's just like it's all things Bloodline, man. We're just circling the drain, waiting for that big fucking turd to go down, and then we have a nice clean slate with someone new. But until that happens, we're just circling, and circling.
It's it's
swirly.
What sucks is that they're doing record business, so in their mind everything's okay. So
that's the thing, is because with WWE, like that's the biggest thing is like obviously Roman's a huge star, but they don't really lose that much when he's gone because they have Cody Rhodes, they have Seth Rollins, they have LA Knight, they have all these guys just lined up ready to go, and that's why also a guy like AJ Styles, oh yeah, you can be part-time, come and go when you please. If we really need you, no. If not, it's like we got a million fucking things going on. Like that's the thing. WWE, there's just so many top stars. They can survive not having a couple there. And that's why a guy like Edge is like, it didn't break their back to lose him. It's like, look it, we love having you. We'll love to keep you, but we're not going to stop you from going because we frankly don't have a lot for you to do. So we have plenty of guys here. You know, we can elevate a Rey Mysterio. We can do this. We just brought Bianca back this week. Like, you know what I mean? So there's plenty of, it's a nonstop star factory, and that's the beauty of WWE is they can get away with like, oh yeah, putting a title on Roman and having defending it once in the entire year.
That fucking piss championship, for crying out loud. It is what it is. It is what it is. Moving on to something else, I guess we'll go over to Raw. I'm not necessarily in love with a couple of things here. Becky versus Indy was kind of a man match for me. Didn't really enjoy it.
Special.
It was a bummer because I feel like the story's good, right? Like Becky's story's good, but again, I'm having this disconnect, right? Where she's got somebody and then somebody's lined up behind her, and then it was like then Xia Li attacks Candice while she's staring at the monitor correctly. It's just like there's other things that are happening, and there's a lot of moving parts. Like I like it, but I don't know what the fuck's going on. I really don't, and so it's hard.
My complaint more with it is I felt like the indie one probably deserved like more build because she was the champion, had to give it up because of injury and got called up. And since then they haven't really done much with her. So it was just the time was weird. Because again, like I said last week, it doesn't bother me that she's facing Lyra right now, that Xia Li's lurking. I kind of like how they're working that kind of around. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but a little Detective JC, actually, I saw it on the internet, so it wasn't me, but when Becky Lynch was being interviewed by what's her name there, in the background was Xia Li. So they're Triple H continuing to leave his little breadcrumbs. So, which is I think is good for Xia Li because like she's another one that's literally done nothing for like 2.5, 3 years. So it's like there's something interesting going on with her. I just felt like the indie one, they did throw it away too quickly, and they just I don't know. Like you said, this match was very pedestrian and not really memorable, and it's kind of a shame. But the one positive, I guess, is that Indy and Candice seem to be going the tag team route. So there's probably some legs there. But at least like character-wise, that is the one positive I think we have going on with this Raw Women's division. Obviously, we haven't talked about the Fatal 5-Way yet, but this is the first time in a long time where Raw is literally utilizing every one of their women on TV every week. They have little things going on, which is nice to see because how often do we come on here and be like, oh yeah, there's nothing. There's like one feud, nothing else. That is, I think, the one positive going on with this Raw Women's division is every single woman they employ has a little bit of piece of something going on. And even on SmackDown, they're getting a little better with it too. And I think that's a step in the right direction because we talk about this all the time. You employ all these people, use them. You employ them for a reason. They have something to offer. You have 3-hour show. We as viewers get bored of the same old shit. Having everyone kind of doing different things, it makes it more interesting. So a little bit of positive in the heat, but overall, yeah, I was disappointed by this match.
It was odd to me too, moving on to Chelsea and Piper versus Natty and Zombie Nikki Cross. You know, it's like, it's a thing. And then, you know, it happens and it's like just a shade over 3 minutes. And it's just like anything in Natalia feels like, what the fuck? And then it's just like anything Chelsea is just like almost
anything
like,
women's tag is just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's just hard. It's just like, and then, I look at it like, okay, like to me, you look at the women's tag titles, and those are, to me, it would be like your top acts are the people going for the women's title on Raw, the women's title on SmackDown, and those are your top things. But then to me, you would want to utilize the tag titles to get the other people that are important and need TV time, but don't necessarily have a reason to be feuding for a championship, something to do. And I think that's good, but they've been so clunky, and I feel like we're just waiting for the voodoo bitches to do something at this point. Like everything is just lead up and nonsense and not interesting to me because I want to see that. That's what I want to see. And to me, I'm not going to see a title change. I'm not going to see a partner get changed here at this point. Like it is what it is. And I just feel like Chelsea's been doing yeoman's work trying to make this thing, lift off the ground essentially. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And I feel like it's just kind of disrespectful.
Yeah, I think that the biggest problem is I think finally, like as I just kind of like talked about, they're starting to kind of try to build a division. The problem is while they're building a division, they're completely neglecting the champions. So it's just one of those, like, it's a tough balancing act. And like you alluded to, like the Voodoo Bitches are a real tag team. They haven't done much with them. Casey and Kaden, they were a real tag team, and they had like a backstage thing with like Nick Aldis. It's like you have actual tag teams you can use against the champions now as you try to create your Tegan Natty team or your Candice Indy team and just like whatever. It's just like, well, you're doing these good other things. You still need to feature a little better. And yeah, the Nikki Cross thing, they've been doing something with her for a while. I feel like forever, but nothing's really paid off yet, where she's just kind of like this weird, like she's kind of like zoned out, like doing whatever. She was stalking Candice for a while, but they seem to have dropped that. So it's interesting, but it is that double-edged sword because I'm glad that they're highlighting them more and they're around. But it's just in terms of the actual like women's titles, like you do need to treat them better. And they're using Becky as like that second tier right now, obviously, which is good. I think it's very positive, but the women's tag title should also be used as that device as well.
But Becky Lynch is booked better than any other woman on any roster.
Well, yeah, but
doesn't matter what it is. Like Becky is more important no matter what she does than any women's champion, any tag champion, any woman feuding with another woman. It doesn't matter. It's Becky Lynch. We're living in Becky Lynch's world. That's it.
Well, I would say the only other one is Rhea. Even though Rhea isn't defending that title like crazy, Rhea is on our TV almost as much as any man on that roster. Like she has 5 to 6 segments a show. She's like part of the biggest faction on the show. So even though like I agree her championship reign has been underwhelming in terms of defenses and matches and stuff, it's like she is a main character on WWE TV and has been since WrestleMania. Like she is leading men. She's bossing around men. She's interacting with Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre and other top stars every single week on the show. She has promos almost every week on the show, multiple backstage things. So but it is a weird thing because like everyone has been complaining about, she really doesn't defend the title and hasn't had matches, but it's that thing where they're a lot more focused on her, the character, than her, the wrestler. But I mean, I will say that we haven't talked about it at the Fatal 5-Way. That segment was cringe, but it's like, they have 4 under contenders for Rhea Ripley right now. So it's kind of all coming together, like the slow build of Triple H trying to involve these women more and giving us more of the Shayna Baszler's on the side and Zoe Stark's on the side and Nia Jax returning and stuff like that. It's like, it's all starting to come full circle now because now they actually are aiming at a championship. So again, we're in the right direction. It is very, very clunky. And like that segment was bad, but at least everyone's getting an opportunity to try to do something at this point.
I just don't like the idea of, this is just me, if she's talking to all the men, she doesn't really seem like she's going to be feuding with men. So to me, it's like there's no payoff to get a Rhea Ripley versus a man that she's yelling and screaming at or doing something with. She's not going to be able to wrestle them. Like she could. She's very believable.
But here's my counter to that. Is she kind of like, it's obviously different, but she's kind of the Paul Heyman of the Judgment Day, where you're not going to pay off where Paul Heyman's going to wrestle Cody Rhodes, but he's a device to build up these other things to make things more interesting for Roman Reigns. Rhea Ripley's a device to make things more interesting for Dom, Priest, and Finn. Now, whether or not people agree with that, because she's a champion, that's up to them, but that's just kind of how it's dealt. She still carries around that championship, and it is believable that she would beat any woman on the roster, but it's very uncharted territory. I think it's interesting because how many women in WWE history have been in this role where they are pretty much leading a faction, the main part of a show, and carrying segments left, right, and center and interacting. It's never really been done before, which I think is kind of cool because it's just, again, it's a role we've never seen a woman do. And that part of it, I think, is pretty cool.
I wanted to throw up when I saw Seth Rollins and her talking. Like that was to me like the biggest part of like, let's jump the shark, let's leap the dolphin. It is when I saw
Seth
her
recruiting him was weird. Drew, I get, but him, it's weird.
It's just like in my head, it was like they're grasping at straws to make this entire thing work, and it doesn't. It just plain doesn't. And Seth Rollins has gotten to a point where you can't knock Seth Rollins for what he does. You can't, because Seth Rollins in the ring, you can't knock him. He's there's
great.
There's no holes in his game. But what the problem is that this championship was given to him to try to make something because they needed it. And it's always been deferred to the second tier, the Cody Constellation. It's not as important as the United States or the Intercontinental title at this point, it feels like. And then it's always replicated back to, oh, well, I don't want to be a champion like Roman Reigns, yet he hasn't wrestled in 3 weeks. So it's just like, it's bizarre the way they're presenting him. Now, maybe he has a back injury and there's a whole reason for it. But it's hard because when I watch him on my TV, I have this feeling of, when is this over? That's how I feel. And I don't want to,
my date's Crown Jewel. I want to attend a Crown Jewel. I've been over it for a while. I've been open about being over it. I think it's best for the title, and it's probably best for Seth. Take some time off, come back at the Rumble, get a big pop, feud with CM Punk at WrestleMania. Let's do it.
Now, it's just hard for me to watch because, like, I think Seth Rollins deserves better. And here's the thing. As much as he has an amazing baby face moveset,
he's not a good baby face.
He's not a baby face. He's just not.
That's when he teeters that line. With that Messiah gimmick. He was a heel, but it was so entertaining. It was likable. But yeah, it's one of those things like, I've always been kind of a Seth basher, but it's more just because, like, I don't think he is the guy. I just don't. I think he's one amazing guy. He is a top guy. He is a main eventer. He's a deserving champion. But I don't think ever, like, when I look at him and be like, oh yeah, that guy's the face. I think it's always like, I see that in Roman. I see that in Cody. I see that in Cena. I could see it in some other guys, but with Seth, it's just like, he's one of it's just the same thing as Moxley. Like, I think Moxley's amazing, and sure, he can be a face of AEW. If Seth Rollins went to AEW, he'd be the biggest thing on AEW. But in WWE, those guys, like, they are top stars. They are one of the top stars, but they are not the top star. So when they try to, like, say they say it one way, like he is the top star of Raw, but they treat him like he isn't, because I think they know he isn't. They know it's Cody Rhodes. It's Judgment Day. It's like, oh, and even Gunther to an extent are all above Seth Rollins. Yeah, McIntyre recently. So
it's getting clunky all over the place for him. That's the problem. And I think the Nakamura thing didn't help him.
No.
The Finn Balor triple match didn't help him.
Nope.
It's just like, there's so many things where it doesn't help him. And here's the biggest problem I have. And I think you've said this before, but it definitely is something it's the underlying problem for him. Seth Rollins wanted to be a fighting champion. To me, fighting champion is one and done, moving on and going on to somebody else. These long ass feuds don't make fucking sense. They don't make him a better champion. And if you keep giving out, rematches to people, you're just dragging us through something that we've been dealing with for years, which is fucking 3-match fucking feud. And then we move on to someone else for a 2-match or a 3-match feud. And then blah, 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 blah. And you look at the year's end, you've wrestled 6 guys. And it doesn't do anything for that championship.
Yeah. Who was he defended against? It was Finn Balor 3 times. I think he had like a Priest or Dom on like Raw, but like those might have not even ended correctly. And then you Nakamura twice. And here we are. It's like, what are we talking about here? That's not a fighting champion. A fighting champion is looking at all the people that Orange Cassidy beat, all the people that Wesley beat, all the people that Gunther beat. I mean, at this point, you can look at all the people that Reigns has beat, all the people that Mello did beat. He literally hangs banners. It's just like, that's what a fighting champion is. And because I agree, it's not necessarily open challenges, but it's just like, once you beat someone, what's next? Because I want to fight everyone. I want to beat everyone to prove that I am the actual best, not beat 2 guys that one guy had a world championship for a day. The other guy never held one. Congrats, buddy.
And it's not an excuse but you can say the whole thing about Cody. There's not an excuse. There's other people on that roster.
Yeah.
There's other people that can move mountains, and they don't do anything with it. So I think like that's the biggest hypocritical thing I think about when I see him. So it is what it is. Moving on to other things that I'm not. Did we talk about the women's 5-way thing, or we just?
It sucked. We don't need to say
Okay.
anything more.
All right. I just wanted to make sure we didn't really talk about it. Anything else you got on the heel side here with the Heat?
Well, I'm curious your take here because we did have a SmackDown Women's Championship match on SmackDown. We haven't talked about it. Io Sky beat Charlotte, damage control and beat her down, and Bianca made the save. So, I mean, I wasn't overly impressed with this match. I kind of expect more from Io and Charlotte. I expect when those two get in the ring together that it's an match of the week, and I don't think it was. More of the same with the damage control breakdown, but Bianca being back is interesting. But at the same time, this division just still feels like it's the same stuff kind of on repeat. I'm curious, though. Maybe we get a Bianca with an edge, which we've kind of been hoping for, but I don't. It's just like, if we get fucking Bianca and Charlotte teaming against damage control, like, I'm out. Like, enough.
I think the hardest part for me is it felt like there was no reason to bring her back right now. Like,
yeah, it's just like she's ready. She's a top star. Let's get her on TV.
Right, exactly. And I think like the thing is like she is clearly the star. Like, you know that. You see her, you're like, this chick is awesome. Right.
Has been, yep.
You know, but like there's a time and a place for something, and they might have a plan that will blow our socks off and I'll be eating crow. But when I look at that SmackDown women's division or SmackDown in general, the way they treat the women, it's just Io can never be the focal point of what she's doing. You can say it's a language barrier. That's one thing. You can say, you know, maybe she's just not whatever the complete package. That's why she's got damage control. You can come up with all these reasons. But to me, if you're going to make her a big fucking deal, to me, you got to get her away from Charlotte. You got to get her away from Bianca. You got to let her have some fucking other people that she can
has to feud with Bayley for any of this to matter, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, that's the hurdle.
If you're going to wait till WrestleMania to do this thing, you're going to lose.
So. I don't think she's going to have the title by then, honestly.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I would assume by then Bianca or Charlotte probably wins it.
See, that's bullshit to me because I feel like, and as much as I hate damage control, I really do, I feel like Io deserves something. Like, if you're going to do a damage control triple threat at WrestleMania, because I guess that's what they said they all wanted, great. But if it doesn't have a chance,
they don't value Dakota, unfortunately, our girl. They don't value her.
Well, I mean, Bayley's
also injured. So
yeah, I don't know. It's hard because everything is like, Charlotte is so talented, but unfortunately, her character demands the championship. And I feel
she's female Brock Lesnar.
Right.
When she's around, she has to go for the world championship. Right. If not, what are we doing? And it's hard. It makes it hard to book.
I think the hardest part for me is, and I think this is more of a challenge to creative and Charlotte, if she can do it, is what does Charlotte look like without going for a championship? What can Charlotte do? Because literally her entire career has been winning and losing championships, going and shoehorning herself in, or last second win, or what, you know what I mean? Like, it's literally who she is. She's the golden touch. She's the golden shovel, whatever you want to say. But what does Charlotte look like when she's doing something else? That's all I want to see with her. I want to see some evolution of who she is, because honestly, if she is the greatest of all time in terms of just how she carries herself, how she's in the ring when she's turning it on, she's fantastic. But what does Charlotte look like, folks? What does she look like in the next evolution non-champion? That's what you got to do to impress me from now on. And they won't do it. They don't have the balls to do it.
Because evolution is a mystery.
Can you imagine? Like, I can't even think about what a Charlotte could be like.
We haven't seen it. We literally haven't seen it. It's like the only time she was away from the women's titles, she went for the NXT title. So
right. It doesn't make any goddamn. To me, it's like they don't know what to do with her. Without
literally, I didn't forethink the Brock Lesnar thing. Just came in my head because it was like whenever Brock Lesnar came back, he was going for a world championship. Charlotte is the same way. They don't know how to book it any other way.
It's fascinating, and it's also it's redundant. It's really redundant,
and that makes it hard to book.
So I don't know. I'm just not a fan of it. I'm a fan of her, but I'm just not a fan of the presentation. It's old. It's old.
Agreed.
Anything else you want to get hopeful?
We can get hopeful.
All right. Would you like to go first? Or you want me to go first?
You go first.
That's right. Somebody was
glorious. You're my only hope.
Someone was ill prepared. So I was thinking about this as I was waiting for you. I was thinking about this. You kind of have alluded to it earlier in the program, but I think it's something interesting. So here's my hope. Right now we have the Judgment Day, right? We have the Judgment Day as tag team champions. And I'm thinking to myself, we're going to split these championships up at some point. And if it goes to SmackDown's championships, here's what I would like to see. I would love to see the LWO become tag team champions first. Can be a day, can be a month, can be 3 months.
Which
don't
LWO?
care.
There's like 8 members now.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't. I would like it to be Rey and Santos, but I doubt it. So here's what we do. Rey and Santos win those SmackDown tag titles. They're doing all sorts of good stuff. And then that's when Santos turns on him. And who does he turn on in the middle of the match? But Dom and Logan Paul. That's what I would love to see, because then it's just like off to the races with Santos and Rey. Dom and Logan being on SmackDown would be fucking hysterical, doing their thing and beating his dad again, and seeing that nuclear heat as tag team champions would be fucking awesome. Just fucking awesome. And then if down the line, it's like, you can have a babyface team win, and then you get Waller and Theory a tag title. Like, once these tag titles open up, you get so many more options in terms of just regular awesome tag team wrestling. Because I was getting upset. I was getting like visibly upset watching Raw and SmackDown, because all I could think about was Theory and Waller not doing anything important. Like, fucking, here comes the Academy facing a fucking team, and it doesn't fucking matter. Like, they're just like, all I want is for those tag titles to fucking split up. I don't care if they're ugly as fuck, but give Logan
They're already
Paul,
ugly as fuck.
I know Logan Paul and Dom need to be a fucking tag team, and they need to be tag team champions, because there would be nobody that they could face that would be crickets. Like, literally, it would just it's like wrestling John Cena. Like, people line up to wrestle John Cena so they can feel the let's go Cena sucks. That would be on the same ilk of like Dom and Logan Paul.
People want to wrestle now.
Right.
Because his reaction, it makes your job so easy.
Right. And it's an easy night at the office for everybody. But again, it makes baby faces too. It makes so many baby faces. So when I saw that on Monday, I went, those tag titles better come home with them. They better fucking come home with them. So there you go. There's my hope. I'm not going to do all my hashtags because you're going to tell me I suck anyway.
You do. So my hope is actually also about the LWO, but it's different, because at Crown Jewel, as you know, we have Rey Mysterio and Logan Paul. Well, you know what makes Logan Paul even more hated? If he wins that championship and it wasn't even really his doing. So I kind of like this, like Carlito is part of the LWO now. So obviously you have Rey, who's like the most respected member. Carlito obviously becomes the most respected member. Santos continues to get knocked down a few runs. He should have had a shot at the U.S. title, but he didn't get it, and Rey took his spot. So we know at some point, like you mentioned, that jealousy is going to come to head. And I think with Carlito now, too, I think the jealousy rises, because that's Rey and him go way back. Carlito is well loved, and Santos is looking here being like, now I'm not just playing second fiddle. I'm playing third fiddle. So I want Santos to cost Rey Mysterio the U.S. title at Crown Jewel. And I don't know, maybe he like beats up Carlito on the way to do it. Like, they're both out there trying to help and blah, blah, blah. But it's just like he costs him. So Logan Paul wins the championship without actually having to do it himself. So that's instant heat for him. And then we have Santos and Rey full speed ahead with the heel turn. And we're moving. And that's just one of those things, because it's just one of those, because it makes so much sense to me, because like Santos literally, like he was the leader of this group. He gets called up, like he was great. His trajectory was doing so good, and he's always been nothing but respectful, but he just hasn't got his way. So it's one of those things. There's so many things I'm hoping for at Crown Jewel. I can't wait to be disappointed with all of them between cash-ins and this, but I'm just fucking ready for change, especially on SmackDown. So hashtag JC for a change. Hashtag JC hopes come true. Hashtag JC knows. Hashtag Logan Paul US champion. Hashtag Santos a heel. Hashtag I spit in the face of people who think they are cool. I missed the fucking apple.
I also,
apple.
all I know is I forgot to put in the heat that they gave him new music. Like, I actually watched it and I went like, you took away one of the coolest parts of his fucking like aura. Like, I remember sitting in the crowd with my friends going, Carlito, 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 Carlito. Like, we were bouncing to it. It's the bouncing,
being cool, man.
Yeah, it's so fucking stupid. Like, they I get it, but like sometimes they got money. They're farting fucking money. Like, don't give me the fucking excuse anymore. Like,
I agree. Tony Khan ponies up for it. They should too.
It's so stupid. Like these entrances now, and we can get to the Johnny Gargano thing if we want very quickly. We can slide it in here. Every single time that music
His
plays,
entrance sucks.
I'm just like, it doesn't help him. It certainly
No.
doesn't help him. And I was
the way he's been booked on the main roster,
Yeah.
the start and stops, his injuries, he needs help. He needs that song.
Yeah.
So
It's bizarre to me. It's just like, I don't want to go on a rant about Johnny Gargano, but the music in general.
I will say though, DIY is gonna work. Like it just they
No, it
gave us
will.
they gave us that tease of them, Imperium and New Day and Alpha Academy being like, hey, we have a division, and it goes to your hope, like be like, yeah, we know now, get the titles on a real tag team so we can move on and get the fucking Judgment Day and all this shit away from it. So even if you're not gonna split them, let's have those tag team titles be with actual tag teams. Like, come on, what are we doing? But I mean, it's WWE, so the hope of that, who knows? But
You know what's funny?
DIY will work eventually. We're gonna have to be patient.
The one thing that I really think about too is WWE doesn't care about real tag teams anyway. So I feel like Waller and Theory have a better shot of winning those things than anybody else.
100%.
Better than anybody else. Like they don't give a shit about real tag teams. They just don't. And nobody can prove me differently. They can't. That's why the Revival left, right? Like you can tell me that
one of the major reasons they had hopes for the division. They wanted it to happen there, and they knew it wasn't going to happen. So they're like, okay, we'll go someplace else. You get paid a lot of money to do so.
And you've said this because you're a tag team guy. I've said it a long time because I enjoy tag teams, the real tag teams. When you do it, there's so many more things you can do.
Yes.
There's so many. It can main event. It can be a big deal.
They proved it. They did it at WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's just
with an actual tag team and with a team
hodgepodge.
That isn't. No, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn I don't consider hodgepodge. They've been teaming together for like 20 years, off and on. Like they're best friends. Like
Fine.
that's not a hodgepodge.
It's hard for me because I feel like I can't remember besides the Usos a tag team, like a real tag team that really fucking well. I feel like New Day haven't been tag champs forever.
No, they haven't. They've just been around. I feel like since Big E's been hurt, either Xavier or Kofi's been hurt too. So that's why I've kind of was excited by their performance this week because I'm like, I feel like we're getting somewhere, and they're the type of team that can help elevate all these other teams because New Day's just over. They're eternally forever over. So
I don't disagree. Anyway, would you like to get your comeback?
I think we should both say our comeback at the same time in a cool exercise.
Are you ready?
3,
1. Okay, 3.
Oh.
I'll give it 3.
Okay, you count.
Wait, is this like Die Hard where it's 1, 2, 3, then jump, or is it 3, 2, 1?
1, 2, 3, go. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, go. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. TNA.
That's so bad.
It's fine.
You know what? Impact Wrestling, dumbest fucking name ever. The biggest mistake they ever named was going away from TNA. TNA's back, baby, in January with, I think, a Hard to Kill pay-per-view. Our boy Dom probably freaking painted the town white. You know, Doja Cat paints it red. Dom's painting it white with this news. I mean, this is exciting. I know our boy Ray's going to boo-hoo. I want this exciting, whatever the fuck's on your Ray. Nobody fucking cares. We want the name, baby. TNA.
Awesome. Every time someone says the 6-sided ring, I'm just like, have you ever watched the 6-sided ring? It's like a fucking pinball. Like
it was a disaster.
It was awful. And like, there's no, I thought it was cool for like a gimmick or whatever. And the usual joke that my buddy Todd usually says is, you know why they don't have it anymore? It's a 6-sided truck to get it there. And I'm like, what a fucking moron. But anyway, like it's hard for me, like, to not get excited about TNA. Cause here's the thing, like as a youngin', as a hardcore wrestling fan, I watched all of those TNA pay-per-views like religiously, the weekly ones before they got a fucking TV deal. And then when they got to fucking, Fox Sports 1, then they get the fucking, what is it? Originally it was Spike TV. Yeah. And like,
I watched it. That was the JC heyday for TNA.
You know what I mean? Like there was a lot of exciting stuff happening there. Like they went head to head for a little bit there with Monday nights. And like here's the problem, right? Like TNA could have been AEW, but they didn't fucking come out of the impact zone. That was
they didn't have the money. That was the thing.
Right.
AEW had the money to make money. You have to spend money. TNA couldn't spend money, so you're not going to make money.
But there are so many things that I'm just like, here's something that's fucking far-fetched, but doesn't seem completely out of the realm of possibility, right? AJ Styles is on his, last leg of this WWE thing.
He ain't going anywhere.
He
just
show
resigned last year.
No. I know that. I'm just saying, like, when he's done with his contract, I would just like to see just like one last match, AJ Styles and TNA. Like, just to give me the warm fuzzies. That's all I want.
WWE might let him just go do it. Like, be like, oh yeah, you go do it for a month. Go ahead.
Like
don't
I just
care.
like Mormon Fuzzies because it's like he was TNA. He was TNA. That
He was one of the TNA
you
guys.
can't tell
Yeah.
me besides that and Samoa Joe, like the real homegrown guys, like Beer Money, like
What if we found out that Tony Khan secretly bought TNA and changed the name?
oh my god.
And that's his gift to Stain. He's gonna gift him TNA. I saw someone say that and I lost it. I was like, Tony Khan's gift to Stain is gonna be TNA.
Tony Khan can't get out of his own fucking way. So
It's a fucking beautiful train wreck. I love it. He's so good for wrestling because he just is a disaster in all the good ways.
it's like it makes my face melt because it's just self-awareness, right? It's unequivocally unaware. That's what he is. He just can't understand when you're ahead of a fucking organization or many organizations. Don't get on fucking Twitter or X or Twix or whatever they're gonna call it, and like that's
You hungry? It's your
I
favorite
know.
candy bar.
It is. It is. You want to hook me up with a Twix, but like you could, like literally, like you know what I mean. Like you don't see owners, probably Mark Cuban every once in a while, but like you know what I mean. Like you don't see many people fucking tweeting and doing all these. Like I just it leave like I appreciate that he's probably more accessible than a Vince McMahon or Triple H or Shawn Michaels, but like what the fuck.
I think the reason why I find it entertaining. I love because he gives us content. I can make fun of him. I can enjoy it, but I also like. That's the bottom line is I enjoy it. It's just like he's one of those guys that makes all these headlines for doing really like weird things, but like they're not negative things. Like when Vince McMahon made headlines, it's because he's sexually assaulting people. Like Tony Khan's make headlines because he fucking snorted too much coke and says stupid shit. It's just like it's one of those things where he's. That's why I just joking, but I'm also serious. Like he's really good for wrestling because it's just different. It's just something different. And does he do some damage to his product? Sure, but I also think he enhanced it as well. For the most part, it seems like he's very well liked because he's an easy guy to work for. He's all over the place, but it's the Twitter thing. Obviously, I always cringe when anyone does shit like that, but it's one of those things like Jim Irsay, the owner for the Colts, another guy does that shit, but he's also a piece of shit. So, it's just one of those things. At least Tony Khan, like he's a fucking nerd. He's a dweeb. We don't want to stuff him in a locker, like to make fun of him, but he seems like an incredible guy. Does a lot of good shit. So you know what? I'd take that any day over some of these other dudes.
So getting back to the TNA thing, they said not only are they going to have the logo, not only are they going to have the whole feeling back, obviously not the six sides, guys, chill. But they did say that they were going to have bigger venues, bigger names, bigger outlook. So I was just like, you know what? Let's fucking go. Like
they need bigger names because watching that promo and I'm seeing Eric Young and Eddie Edwards, who doesn't look like the Eddie Edwards we all remember, and all these other guys and fucking Deanna Purrazzo's husband. I'm just like, they need some stars.
You know what's funny to me? Like here's something that I'm going to get hate on and I don't care. I have never in my life thought Moose is a fucking name. I've never thought Moose is watchable. I don't like Moose. And all I'm thinking to myself is like, they pushed this guy to the fucking moon. And all I could think about was this guy wouldn't sniff a mid-card title in the WWE. Just wouldn't. Just fucking wouldn't. I don't care what anybody says. Eddie Edwards, decent guy from around here. Is his wife's.
He was great in it for a while, but it's just
Yeah.
one of those things. He's not the Eddie Edwards you remember.
No.
He's just not.
And like Eric Young, no, sorry. He's like, yes, he's a homegrown talent. He's TNA through and through, and that's a fuzzy, warm thing. Jordan Grace is great, but they don't put enough stock into her yet to make her feel like a big deal. They're getting there. But it's hard because like when I watch that Swamp Thing, every time the walking weapon comes out, and I just look at him and I'm like, here's a dude with zero personality. Like you want to get I hope Doc's still in here. You want to tell me I have zero Riz? This guy has zero Riz. Seriously, the guy.
The walking weapon.
The walking weapon. You know what that means to me? You have zero personality. You have zero personality. So, like, I agree with you. If CM Punk shows up at Impact /TNA, I would lose my mind because all I could think about was
you know what would be perfect? You know what would be perfect? Dolph Ziggler. But he's going to go to AEW because his fucking brother works there, and we know that. But it's just like, he'd be the perfect type of guy that could come in there and legitimize their product, really highlight the best qualities of so many of their guys, but it just is, I would say like 1% chance. It's just his brother literally works for AEW, so it'd be a huge upset if he didn't go there. But he's the type of guy that I think would be perfect because they wouldn't have to break the bank. The guy's already rich. He's not a name like a CM Punk or whatever that they'd have to go whatever for. And he's just someone who would literally put on banner matches, which is what your fans want, and just highlight some of these people that people don't know as well. But again, I don't think there's any chance he's going there.
Something else that's very newsworthy, at least I think it is. NWA gets a TV deal with the CW, 2 shows. Now, I will say this much. I had a conversation with our boy Dommy Feds and our boy Tough Talk Tony Spencer, who are big NWA guys, especially NWA from way back when it was actually, the best. I saw this and I went, can studio wrestling be anything? Because when I looked at it, I saw it on YouTube and I went, none of this is watchable.
It can be the 4th or 5th promotion, which it is and will be.
But I was like happy for them that they got their fucking TV deal because that's huge for them. But if they keep doing studio wrestling, I think it's hard. And I don't think Billy Corgan thinks like Tony Khan, which is probably a smart thing on Billy's part. Like he stays away from AEW, he stays away from WWE. But when you look at AEW and WWE, even Impact, like you look at the crowd size, right? And when you see studio wrestling, you think like this is podunk. And I think that's the hardest part that you overcome. And then you add in the Trevor Murdochs of the world. You add in these random people who are kind of like old school NWA, probably don't have it anymore, and like don't have a real good defined character. Now, there are some people on there that'll knock your socks off, but they'll end up in AEW or WWE because they won't stick around. But when I watch this, it's too generic. It's too cookie cutter. It's too old school. And I don't think it has a place on the table. It's great that there's a 4th or 5th option for people. And I'm excited. I'll probably tune in and DVR it every once in a while. But I tried to watch it on YouTube and I went, this does not hold my attention. It just doesn't.
Yeah, it's not something I'm ever going to get into because that's hard enough with 3 WWE shows a week now, 3 AEW shows a week. I can barely get through all that. So for me, I'm not looking for more, but for the people who want to watch wrestling every night, it's a great option to have. So I think they'll do what they always did. I don't think anything beyond that. But Nestlemania, you ready to get to the big old finish?
Yeah, let's get big old finishing.
I don't know what I was doing there, but SmackDown, we have a contract signing. Roman Reigns and LA Knight, who we didn't even mention this week. Yeah.
That promo was kind of awkward for me. Like I appreciated that he could swim against Heyman and said, if you leave, I'm going to knock the gray right off you. Or whatever he said, that was funny. But again, they're swimming. They're treading water. That's all it is. So I think the contract signing, there's a clip. I'll try to find it. That it was Eli Drake, AKA LA Knight in Impact Wrestling, when he was about to break through, right? Like he was about to become their world champion, and it was against EC3, who was essentially their fucking, it's funny, NWA champion, EC3. Anyway, that's beside the point. They do that whole thing, but he cuts this promo, and someone put out there, this is the promo he needs to cut on Roman Reigns. And I watched it, and I'll try to find it. Stellar promo. Just basically went and said, I haven't had the chances that you have. They rolled out the red carpet. You've been the fucking poster boy, And he's like, he just went off on him, saying,
he kind of did that to Miz too.
Yeah, and it's just like and you could tell it was like that wasn't character work there, folks. That was just how he felt, and I think that's what they need to get him to. I don't think they're gonna pull the trigger, but man, would that be fun? Wouldn't that be fucking?
This is the test though. You throw him in the deep end, you see how he swims, and this is the test. It starts on Friday. Head over to Raw. We have 4 matches. I said 4 matches Nestlemania booked for Monday Night Raw. We have DIY taking on Imperium. We have Seth Rollins taking on my boy, JD McDonough. I'm excited for that one. We have Xia Li and Candice LeRae. We'll see if that gets past 3 minutes. And we have Dominic versus Ricochet, which I am very excited for.
May I ask the $1 million question?
Yes.
Is there a trick or street fight?
I wouldn't be surprised if there was one added, probably between New Day and Alpha Academy in a rematch, because everyone, that could be JC's candy meat match of the week. All I know
is if there is no trick or street fight, and I've been saying for years this shit needs to stop, then Triple H is no fun, just like me. All right.
It could also be on Friday. It's a possibility that after, but I would get, you know what? Well, Halloween Havoc's on Tuesday. There'll be one on Monday. There'll be something. Tozawa will probably be involved. So it'll probably be Alpha Academy versus someone. So
I would just love to never see trick or street fights again. And you can tell me I'm
you're a loser who hates fun.
There it is.
Get out of my face. Speaking of losers who hate fun, AEW has a lot of shit booked this week. We have this was the most random thing ever. Orange Cassidy was mad at the Blackpool Cuckback Club of Danielson and Claudio, and he goes, "Well, me and my partner." I'm like, "Oh, which best friends are gonna be?" He's like, "Me and Okada." It's like, what? You and Okada agreed to this before, just randomly? You and Okada taking on Danielson and Claudio makes no damn sense, but is happening. We also have a women's championship match: Hikaru Shida taking on Ruby Soho, who's lost every big match she's ever had in AEW. But yeah, give her a title shot. Tony Khan gives a gift to Sting. Hook and RVD reunite and take on question marks, because that's the thing. The Hunbucks defend their Ring of Honor championship against the fucking Hardy family. Whoop-de-fucking do. Then the only thing that matters on the show, the fight for the Diamond Ring, where MJF takes on Juice Robinson.
That's the only thing I'd watch. Everything
Yeah.
you like, if Sting gets like a personalized Louisville Slugger or something, or fucking Tony comes out in Sting face paint or in a trench coat with his fucking weird hair, like if it happens, I'm gonna be sitting there going, what the fuck is he doing? Is he gonna like give him a surfboard? Like that to me is the only other thing that I would like. I want to see what the stupid surprise is, because it's probably lame, but it'll be a haha. It's so hard because like what you described to me is not watchable.
Yeah, it's shit. It's laughable. Like there's always a few good things on Dynamite, but it's laughable the shit they stack the show, and they're like 3 matches. Like fuck off. On Rampage, I forgot to mention we also have a match. Santana finally takes on Ortiz after about 3 months of vignettes, where these guys they broke up one of the cooler tag teams in AEW, which granted it seems like they actually had real life issues, but it sucks.
I mean, I wish I wasn't, busy on Friday and I didn't give a shit about Rampage, because I would watch.
I watched that shit on like Monday in about 30 seconds because, like I say every week, there's one watchable thing on Rampage. It's usually a women's match, but this week it might be this.
All right. I'll take your word for it.
That's it. I don't know anything on Collision.
Well, I don't think there's anything else to discuss here. And
yeah, and I gotta pee.
Okay, well,
I drank 2 long drinks while we were recording. I really gotta pee.
Okay, well, on that note, thank you for listening to the Jobber Knocker podcast. We'll be back next week with more Jobber Knockery.
Touchdown, Bloodline.